Now, what would be the product in a compound contains carbons is durings? Do you know of any test of the confirms this thing? Okay, now the thing, food, clothes, medicines, and books or the the monies of the things that usually stand are all the based on these versatiles eliminates carbons in the additions all the livings and the structures are the carbons based the amount of the carbons present in the Earth's crust and in the atmospheres is the quates measures the earth is the crust has only 0.02 percentage carbons in the form of the minerals like a carbonates handrods carbonates clothes and the petroleums and the atmosphere has a 0.03 percent of the carbons dioxide in the spit of these small amounts of the carbons available in the narrators the importance of the carbons seems to be the imminence in the champions we will knows about the properties of the carbons which makes carbons so impact to us ओके नाउ द मतलब ये जो पॉइंट है ना ये बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंस है जिसको हम बोलते हैं bondings in the carbons bonding in the carbons the covalence bonds covalence the covalence bonds in the prep and in the now you have the read the books in the previous chapters v now you can go and the previous chapter is reads now in the previous chapters we have studying the properties of the onions compounds save we save that the evening compounds have high meltings and boiling points and the condu- conducts electricities in the solutions or in the molten stands we also now we also saw how the narrator of the bondings in the evenings compounds explaining this properties let's use now the studies the properties of the some carbons compounds most carbons compounds are poor conductors of the electricities as we have seen in the chapters 2 for the data's givings in the tables 4.1 on the boiling and melting points of the carbons compounds we find that these compounds have low now the meltings and boiling boilings points as compared to the evening compounds chapter 3rd we can the conclude that the force of the attractives between the molecules are not a very trainings things since the compounds are the largely non a conductors of the electricities we can the concludes that the bondings in the this and the compounds does not a given rings to the anis in now in the class ninth we learn about the combining combining capacities of the various elements and the how is the depending on the numbers of the well valencies electricians. Let's use now look at the elementaries con- conferenings of the carbons. The atomic number of the carbons is the 6. What would be the distributing of the elements in the various cells of the carbons? How many valences electronics will carbons have? Now just read this. We know that the relatives of the elements is the explains as there's tenses to attend a completely fills others cells that is the attends Noble's gas. Now the configurations elements formings I evenings and the compounds activities things things by the elder elder elders gainings or the losings electronics from the out, outermost cell in the gas of the carbon. It has four electricians in it is the outermost cells and needed to the gain or lost for lost for lost for electricians of Athens noble gas. The configurations if is the where's to the gains or loss electrons. Now the it is the calls gains for electricians. Now it is the cold gain for the electrons forming C for the against, but it is the would be the difficult for the nucleus with the six protons to hold on to the 10 electrons. That is a force extras electrons. Now the rate this it is the cold loss for the electrons forming C fourth plus car car no now the cations 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 but is but it would requires a large amount of it's the Coles loss for the electrons forming C and fourth catings the but it is the would requires a large amount of the energy to the removes for the electricians levelings behind a carbons carbon cations with six protocols in its nucleus holdings on to the just two electrons electrons okay electrons. Now carbon overcome the carbon overcomes things problems by the sharing its where use the electricians which others atoms of carbons or the um, which which atoms of the other elements not just carbons but many other elements of the molecules by the sharing electricians in this and these manners the sharing electrons belongs to the other almost sharing the shells of both the atoms and the land to both atom attaining the Nobel's gas configurations before the goings of to the compound of the carbons. Let use the looks at the some simple molecular formats by the sharings of the valences electricians द सिंपल देखो एक सिंपल होता है ना द सिंपल molecules format in these manners is that of the head gun as your has a large airlines the atomic number of the hydrogen is first hence hydrogens has one electron in it is its k cell and it is the requires on the Morse electrons to the fill the K shell. So two the hydrogens atoms shares their electrons to the form from a molecules of the hydrogen H2. Now this always teach hydrogen atoms to the attends the attention. Now the electronics configurations of the narrates Nobel's gas helios which has two electrons in it's a cell. We can depends this this using doesn't or the cross to the represent values electrons the shares the sur, the thread pairs of the electrons is said to the constitutes a singing the singing covalence bonds between the two hadrogens Again, hydrogen atmos, hydrogen atmos, singular curve, a singular cavalings bonds is also the represented by a line between the two atoms as a slow in figure 4.2. Now the automatic number of the chlorines is 70s. What would be its the electronics configurations, and it is the valencies valencies chlorines forms are determine some molecules first two, and can use the draw the electron the electron don't structure for this is the molecular notes that once there's a valence shall the electrons needed to be the needed to the dependent. It is the case of the oxygens, which is the formations of a doubles but bonds between the two oxygens atoms. This is the because an atoms of the oxygens has six electronics in it is a cells. The automatic number of the oxygens is the 8, and it is the requires to the more electronics to the complete is it is the octans. So so each atoms of the oxygens shares two electronics which another's atoms of the oxygens to the given use to the structures slows in figures 4.3. The two electrons contributing by each oxygens atoms given a raise to third pairs of the electrons. This is said to be the constitutes a doubles bonds between the two atoms. Can you know depend can you know depict a molecules of water, say, showing the naturals of the bondings between one oxygen's atoms and two hydrogen's atoms. Does the molecules have since bonds of the doubles bond? What would the happens in the case of a determic moleculars of ni, 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 nitrogen has the atomic number 7? What would be its the electronicals configurations, and it is the combinating capacities in order to the attend an octet. Each nitrogen's atoms in a molecules of the nitrogens contributes contributes. There are electronics given a rise to their shades. Okay, pairs of electrons. This is a set to the constitutes a trapecal bonds between the two atoms. The electronics done structures of N2, and it's the triples done it's the triples done can be the depended as in a figure 4.4. A molecules of the ammonings has a formulas NH3 can use the draw the electronics done structures for these molecules, solving how all for the atomics achieve. Nobles has a configurations. Noble has a configurations. Will the molecules have a since done doubles to the triples bonds. Now the let use now take a look at the mathens, which is the compound of the carbons mathematics in the Wedleys used as a flu use of the flues, and is a Mazur's compounded of the biogas and the comparison natural gas. It is also one of the simple compound formed by the carbon math methanes has a formulas chapters for the hydrogen, as you know, has a valencies of 1 carbons. It is the tetravalence because it has 4 valence electrons in order to the achieve noble gas. The configurations carbons sharing these electrons with 4 atoms of the hydrogen as shows in figures 4.5. now the now you have listen this such duns which are the formed by the sharings of the electron pairings between the two atoms are the known as the covalent bond coupling trees. Bonded molecule molecules are the shapes to the has have the strong strong bonds with the molecules, but intermolecules forms are the weak. This is a given rise to the low melting and the boiling Polly. Now the here use the seen this imaginaries. Now the हाइड्रोगन है. फिर आप देखोगे क्या है पता है H2 molecules sets to the electrons है. फिर उसके बाद आप देखोगे फिंगर्स 4.1 है molecules of the hydrogens HHS fingers of the 4 point choose the singles bonds between the two hydrogens atoms है. two hydrogens atom है oxens atoms O2 the molecular है. Okay, fingers of the 4.3 is double bonds between the टू ऑक्सिलरीज एटम्स दिखोगे, नेचुरल नेटिरिकेंस ऑटम्स देखोगे, एंड द मॉलिक्यूलर्स आप देखोगे, फिंगर्स 4.4, द ट्रिपिकल्स बॉन्ड्स बिटवीन द टू नेचुरकेंस देखोगे, आप देख सकते हो। नाउ यहाँ पर आप देखो तो बहुत ही मज़ेदार चीज़ आपको दिखेगा। क्या दिखेगा वो सभी मैं आपको बताता हूँ, देखो। Now the pointers of this compound